Adam Button, my trading warrior brother. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here.
It's good to have you.
There we go. We got a little video going here today.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen here. And why don't we start with what's top of mind for you, Adam?
I mean, the thing, but I look at the euro right now, 8 days in a row up into yesterday. If you were looking for a chance to sell the euro, I think it's it. We're here. UK inflation rolling over a little bit. I mean, maybe they're talking about 6.5% rates there. Maybe that was a bridge too far. And it just puking today. So I don't think it'll be the last spot to do that. And it really just, maybe the dollar's not done. I mean, you guys were just talking about housing and stronger in the US than elsewhere. And that's kind of been something I've been saying all year.
Yeah,
and
you were more bullish US housing than anywhere else.
Yeah, but I mean, it was lonely. It was very lonely to be bullish on US housing, and it's been a great trade. And I still think it's early innings. I think this has to be a bubble, and I think maybe some people would argue it is a bubble, but I think I think US house prices can rise 30% from here. And
what do you think the Fed thinks about that?
Yeah, they're going to have a hard time. I mean, it's supply constrained, and especially in a lot of markets, it probably will cycle back into the bigger markets. I think at some point.
What do you think the Fed thinks about this rally and speculation in equities going into their meeting?
Yeah, I mean, they look at.
Go ahead.
It depends if it broadens out. I think they look at the AI story the same as everyone else and say, well, it's just kind of a money pouring into AI. And it is technologically impressive and amazing. And so, we're not going to worry about it too much. Now it's starting to broaden out a little bit, right? We're seeing, what is the Carvana today and Bed Bath and Beyond yesterday and that kind of thing. Maybe
low floaters.
Yeah. But I know we've seen it before and it just doesn't seem to bother them. So,
the Fed should embrace non-inflationary growth, which is kind of what we have with the inflation numbers. Although the comps were easy to beat last year's numbers, right? So that's what people are ignoring. Go ahead.
This was the best month for comps. I mean, this was the peak. June, which is the data we just got, was the peak of U.S. gasoline prices a year ago. So the comps get tougher now for the rest of the year. Then they get easy again at the start of early 2024. So I don't know if you want to look kind of, we see a bit of the market starting we start to get some 0.3, 0.4 month over month numbers. The market gets worried. Or if the market says, you know what, we're going to hit some easy comps again in January, February, March, maybe I can look through this. So that is a bit of a challenge. But the U.S. economies, I think the divergence trade is going to be the trade for the rest of the year. And then I wonder how that feeds back into the U.S. and inflation in the U.S., right? If the U.S. is the only place that's strong, well, you're going to get a lot of exports to the U.S. At competitive rates. Whereas if it's fumbling here in Canada and Europe and the UK, China doesn't want to seem to hit the gas pedal here. So that I think it's a strong dollar trade is going to be the second half trade. Not that it wasn't the first half trade, but I don't think it's over.
That's interesting. Where are you with yields, Adam? A lot of people think that we could have a move like we had from here to here to 330, double top. Do you think we're going back to 330? Personally, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer a bit right now, just because I'm worried a bit about equities. Right, we're kind of you get this July seasonal strength here. It's a little, earnings season. We'll see about margins. There might be some pressure on that, and I'm kind of tiptoeing into the bond market here, expecting lower yields. But I mean, the way Europe fell yesterday was interesting. I mean, today down like Italian yields, I think, are off 43 basis points in a week. 10's down just below 4% now from 440, and that's some pretty powerful move. And I think that's sort of the inclination, right? I think there's a lot of money out there that would like to own bonds, but they want to kind of top ticket, right? And then the dam breaks and we go.
Okay. And you're, kind of seems to me that your narrative about being a little concerned about equity prices here and wanting to tiptoe into the long end of the curve
Well, that's it.
kind of is tied in together, that it could be a risk off event that generates a nice move in bonds the way they used to work.
I mean, I've been super bullish on the economy all year, and I've been bullish on stocks as well. And here we are. It didn't quite play out. I thought you'd see like kind of cyclical stuff do a little bit better, not just insane rally in tech, but I was pretty optimistic. And now you start to see all these notes, from economists say, we continue to believe there will be a soft landing and are raising our S&P 500 target. And you say, continue to believe since when? Last week? Because you guys were all saying it was a recession. And, so that you kind of had, now everybody's kind of on the soft landing trade. And, now you kind of got to, go to where the puck is going, right?
This is where money's going. It's going into the old economy stocks. Look at CAT, look at Deere, and they didn't start performing until June.
And so that's kind of the debate, right? Is it early on that, or do we now get the cyclical thing? Do we get stocks to the highs? So like I say, I'm still very long equities and like that trade, but I am getting a little bit nervous. Like, look at those candles. That's pretty aggressive in the last, I don't know, the dailies.
Well, these look tired to me, Adam. Where we had that Prime Day and Amazon gapped up, but tried to
How many times does that trade work?
Yeah, it looks like exhaustion to me. Nvidia's been the superstar, right? And
crazy. What's the multiple now? We had 50 times sales yet?
I've heard that we've had record insider selling in Nvidia.
50 times sales.
Record insider sales. So, AMD, here's another semi that doesn't look that great to me. Takes out
Intel had a nice week, but there's a bit of value there.
I think they're rotating out of tech.
Well, there's that NASDAQ rebalance, right? And there's been a bit of talk about that, right?
All right, explain it to me. How did they reduce the influence of Apple in the NASDAQ 100? How do they do that? In what way do they rebalance this?
Well, they say, I think there's something like 44% of the index right now, or 46.
Just Apple.
So they just say we're changing the index, and these are only going to be 38 or something like that, 35. So now if you own it, if you don't own if you own the ETF, or if you're managing the ETF, or you're tracking it, now you have to change all your balances. So now only 40 or 38% or whatever your portfolio is. I'm not sure on the exact numbers.
So you have to sell some Apple to get down there?
And you got to buy some like Broadcom or whatever else is in the index. It's not but it's been really front run. And, it's like, I think a trade like that, once it's well known, but it's the 24th, man. I'm just getting back from vacation, so I'm not dead on these dates, but the 24th, I think, is the day it happens. So, watch after that, and maybe there's a bit of uncertainty around all that. But I do like the broadening out idea on the soft landing. And you asked, is Powell worried about stocks? And when I think of Powell, I imagine he's worried about his legacy. And his legacy right now is the guy who let inflation get away. He's transitory Jay, and he wants to be soft landing Jay. And, if it means that stocks have to have a bit of a bubble, but he gets to claim that, he was the guy who brought inflation down without a recession, I think, he'll take that all day, every day.
Okay.
Nobody minds when stock prices are high. It's when they bust that people mind.
I wanted to ask you about copper. It's been a kind of a non-performer here, and I know long-term you like it. They can't, there's no new capacity coming online. It's very difficult to build a mine. To me, it looks like it's on the verge of breaking down. Is it China? I want to ask you, Adam, China was given credit for helping pull us out of the Great Recession because they were
there's no doubt about that.
Could they drag us into it?
Well, that's it. And I think I saw a thing pop up about CAT and that and Deere, and there's hope. That's a China story too, right? And this stimulus talk, and people just, this week they came out and talked stimulus, and you wonder if the market was pricing in something more aggressive. I mean, there'll be an RRR cut probably this month. That's a rate cut from them. You know, in 2008-9, they went insane. I mean, the amount of stimulus they pumped into everything, it truly saved the world economy. And you know, that playbook's dead. But like, there's somewhere on this scale now of stimulus to, you know, that up here and, you know, the very minimum. And they kind of are just probing this bottom end, and people want to see something a bit more aggressive. And it's been kind of instructive to me at how skeptical the market's been, or if it's, I really, I'm getting it. It's tough to, I mean, you know how tough the China trade is. I mean, the commentary never matches the reality. The numbers are hard to believe.
They're
But
opaque.
copper really is a 2025, 2026 trade. You know, there isn't a supply crunch. There's lots of supply coming on this year. Next year it will tighten up a lot, and the year after is when you start to get material shortages. So for me, it's, you know, how early do you want to be? And if you're comfortable being early, that's fine. I mean, I think the equities will run ahead of it, and there's some M&A starting in copper equities right now, so that kind of plays into it, like COPEX or something like that, rather than the commodity itself. I think as though multiple expansion is going to come before that.
Looks like $3 is coming before that story in a few years.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people want that, right? I think a lot of people are saying, you know, there's no real material shortage of copper right now. Inventories are tight, but maybe I can get $3 or sub 3 is tough because the marginal costs have moved up a lot because of inflation. But you get down to 3. It's hard without a U.S. recession or with China. You know, China has a lot of bullets right now. They have no inflation, so they can stimulate. I don't think they'll tolerate.
Well, so what are they waiting for?
Well, that's the question, and it's a bit of a puzzle right now. And I think they're coming, but they're just not coming hard enough for the market.
They're talking about that unemployment among 25-year-olds or so, 20-year-olds. That massive unemployment, 20%, 25% of them are unemployed. I think they'll be employed in the army.
Well,
they can't find wives. They can't find jobs. Let them fight. That's probably what's going to happen, don't you think?
I mean, there was a great story in the New York Times last week about the U.S. cutting off chips to China. And it really opened my eyes a little bit to, you know, it's not just chips for AI. Chips are really what you use to invent anything right now. If you know, pharmaceuticals, it's not like the nutty professor mixing chemicals, trying different things to make a new pharmaceutical.
You have any flubber?
Yeah.
Fred McMurray.
It's massive amounts of data being crunched by AI chips, you know, the best chips there are, and it spits out kind of the answer or a few potential paths. And it's like that in a lot of invention right now. And so China is really being cut off from all of that. And will they tolerate that? Or, you know, 2/3 of the world's chips are built in Taiwan. And
that's right.
Take it. So that is I mean, like you say, but nobody knows, right? You can't, how you're going to trade a war there.
What do you think of this new, be short Apple? What do you think of the new currency that I believe is going to launch, or I'm hoping that's all that's launched, like August 22nd, the BRICS gold-backed currency? Is it going to be a tradable instrument? What do you know about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be the gold would be the trade there. And, you know, it was impressive yesterday, the day from gold. Yeah. It was a nice, we're sitting, you know, we're at a period of seasonal weakness for gold, and it's held up pretty well here. You know, there aren't a lot of believers in gold. And, you know, I think Citi was out yesterday talking gold. I mean, all these BRICS countries, I think, you know, so you look at what happened with China and getting cut off from chips, and Russia getting cut off from dollars. And, you know, even South Africa kind of leaned out and is dealing with Russia. And so, you know, Brazil, I don't know, maybe a little bit more in the US sphere, but there's certainly, you know, the Middle Eastern countries want to get involved in the BRICS too. So, you know, that's quite a few people that are saying, we were trying to get away from the US dominated system, or have something with a little bit more. So there's, I mean, certainly an opportunity there, but to execute, again, you look at what the US is just doing on chips to China. I mean, they're cutting them off from chips coming out of Holland. One little component that's US made or US owned in any part of the manufacturing process, the US is saying you can't send it to China. So
and we are so reliant upon them for pharmaceuticals. Or I heard if a big transformer goes with our grid that's not in great shape, we don't manufacture them. It could take months if they come from China. China could hurt us more by cutting off what they sell to us than we are hurting them with
and it's like
denying
the
them
word,
chips.
right, it's always who could take the most pain too, right? I don't know if the
Well,
American
I guarantee you
consumer
the
is
Chinese can take more pain than Americans. All right. I guarantee you we're not tested like they were.
Oh,
At least my generation. The uppies, maybe some went to Nam. They've lived in an era of prosperity. Yeah, there've been bumps, there've been recessions, but a lot of them have very comfortable retirements and they're doing okay. While hardship in China has been a national theme forever.
yeah.
So yeah, I think I wouldn't want to fight them.
Yeah, well, it's interesting if they go to the same playbook as Russia, right? And then that'd be the big schism in the world. And so, but it just seems like, why would anyone want to go down this path? But I don't know.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Yeah. It seems that way that we keep poking them in the eye. It seems that way to you too, right? So yeah. I want to talk to you a little bit about commodity currency weakness compared to the other currencies, including while the dollar was making new lows, Canada held up quite well compared to the breakdown in the dollar.
Yeah,
And
I mean, that's great.
Aussie never took out these highs, while Euro blew through these highs, cable blew through these highs,
Well, pull
and
up Kiwi there too, because we had Kiwi inflation earlier today, and I thought that was really instructive. I don't know if you get the short term there, but it tried to rally today because inflation was hot in New Zealand, and it just got snuffed right out. That's the intraday
you
there.
were
You can see it
probably
right on the
looking
far
at
right hand side.
how about a 30-minute chart? This,
Yeah, that was, so you get hot inflation, then it gets stuffed, and it's instructive because the UK had cool inflation and it gets hammered too. So like, heads I win, tails you lose, and that to me, it's a pretty bullish signal for the dollar. It really comes back to growth, right? We worry about inflation, right? And I think the story in the UK is that you're not going to have as high rates, but you're also going to have to crush growth. And I don't think anyone believes that Bailey was really that worried about growth. Yeah, if you listen to him, he doesn't seem to care if there's a recession, unlike Powell, who's trying to engineer a soft landing. And so it's a delicate spot. Yeah, I see that breakdown in the dollar index, like you say.
That's what everyone's saying. So conventional people will say 1,400-point move, subtract it, and that's how people get targets like 85 or so for the dollar.
Yeah, I'm not doing too much technical analysis on the dollar index. I am worried, and if I talk about the whole second half, it would be Japan, right? And even the second half of this month, we have another Bank of Japan meeting. Yield curve control is insane. It's to have inflation that they do right now and still be having yields as low as they do in Japan, and saying that our number one worry is low inflation. I mean, this is insane.
You sell a rip here, Adam. I mean, this was very directional move from 45 to the breakout at 38. I'm looking for maybe sell rips at 41 or so.
Well, I don't know. Ueda came out yesterday, the governor of the Bank of Japan, and he seemed to indicate that this, they're not going to change anything.
Right.
And so I don't. He's very cagey. He's new, so the playbook is not really well developed. And I just think you stay up late on the 28th or 29th and trade the news.
Yeah.
Okay. As simple as that. But I think it has to go. I don't know. That probably dipped, from 145 to wherever we are now, 139.70. A
Yeah.
lot of that is pricing in the end of yield curve control.
Could
So
it
we
also have something to do if this continues? Say we get this just a failing rally and we break out 38. I mean, if I wanted to really get macro about it, I could say we could have something like this from here, or at
and
least re-challenge these lows here. So does this create problems for the carry trade?
well, you see a lot of action in the Swiss franc too. So there's a lot of angst around the carry trade and how it's set up, and you've got to imagine the funding in yen is. I mean, if you can
Huge,
borrow in any currency right now
right?
for nothing, it's tempting.
That's the one.
And
So
so,
that could be an unwind if there's the chicken or the egg. The carry trade gets under pressure, and they start liquidating stocks, or stocks are liquidated and the carry trade is unwound.
yeah, and then you wonder though, okay, they take out yield curve control and rates go up a little bit, but it's still, the Bank of Japan's not raising to 6% or 5% or even 2%. So maybe you hunker down and tolerate it, and the specs get blown out and you get 500 pip move, but then back in, right?
Yeah.
Because rates are still lower there than elsewhere. So I think the second half story of 2024 is all about Japan and China.
Okay.
And I, because there's just so much uncertainty about policy and the economies there. Inflation in Japan and growth in China are the two big question marks in the world right now. I can say pretty confidently that that growth will disappoint in that commodity block and in Europe, but China and Japan, total wild cards.
Okay. Well, that's that's a great headline. Second half story, stay focused on Asia. Asia's the key. More important than what's happening in Europe. Anything in Europe you want to pay attention to? You worry about uh, more intensified, or the Ukrainian war escalating?
Yeah, I mean, that's just not going to end. I mean, you wonder right now if that ends up being like a 20-year war, because it's just something has to change on the battlefield, technology wise,
Yeah.
to
Well, it
move.
is cluster bombs,
Well,
and training F-15 pilots. That you don't think that would change the battlefield?
I
Russia
don't think
thinks it will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's either drones or nuclear weapons. I think that's how it ends, with
Okay.
some massive amounts of
You
drones.
sound like Dale Pinkert, Adam.
Well, maybe at some attrition's a funny thing. It eventually people get fed up on one side or another too.
Yeah.
So
I never
anyway,
get fed up talking to you, buddy. In fact,
well,
it's too long in between times, and I want people to be following all the great work that you do at
loving these
Forex
comments
Live.
coming in, reading these comments coming in. I mean,
What?
but
What?
right now, I think it's short euro is where I'm at. Yeah, it could be
Over the
convinced.
pound?
Short
Over the
sterling.
pound, huh?
It's the dollar. I mean, I don't mind either.
Okay.
But,
Because
I
look
think
at this. I mean, it looks like we have a pretty nice little breakout on the daily on euro pound, and that would make the pound the preferred short, right?
well, I mean, that's a tough economy to read. Those inflation numbers were hot for a while, came
Yeah.
down. Maybe this peak inflation in the UK, and it is a good sell right now.
Yeah.
But the Bank of England is just so aggressive.
It's gold. Are gold and silver gonna rocket to new all-time highs? Are the
I think it's
silver
early.
squeeze guys?
I'm like a late Q3 guy on gold when the seasonal trade kind of amps up. But I think Russia's buying, China's buying, India's probably
Yeah.
buying.
So maybe one more dollar rally, and we actually get a chance to buy gold. Uh, maybe around
I think
1800.
ultimately you'd be happy buying it sub 2000, and if you can wait it out, and that's a timing trade. Like even at these levels, I think ultimately you'd be happy. But
How
yeah,
about I'd be happy buying it right there.
yeah, if you bottom ticket, that'd be great. I don't know if
I'm thinking if we have that dollar rally you're talking about, maybe that drives it.
And we have had a dollar rally this year, right? Already, and gold has weathered it pretty well. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to like in all the commodities. And I'm an oil bull, and
Okay.
that's
I know you
perking up
are.
a
And
bit.
WTI has turned pretty positive lately.
Sure. And I think it's probably early. I mean, I don't have a ton of conviction in it at the moment. We'll see what there's an EIA number coming out today. We'll see if we start to get some really material draws. I mean, then you kind of have a problem, right? Because OPEC's not maxed out. You can't be very bullish on oil. I mean, beyond like 90, if OPEC still has.
I'm thinking 80, 85. Look at the 200 right here. It's on the verge, isn't it?
Yeah, it would get going. I mean, specs are short. There's lots of room to run. But still, OPEC is going to cap any of it. So
I think these are the commodities to be paying attention to. I probably don't do a lot of coverage of grains at Forex Live, do you?
No, I would. That's
it's
softs.
another
Gentlemen don't do softs, Dale.
All right, well, here that was wheat. There's beans, and even corn is coming out of the hole here. So you know what? You can't eat copper or
I
gold.
think steels. I was a bit bullish on steel.
Steel, okay. Things you
lumber,
could drop.
Lumber is a housing trade.
Okay, yeah. I don't even follow it anymore. I remember that lumber pit. They were, when it was open outcry, they were like known as the villains. They. You have to be careful with your paper in there. Great talking to you, Adam. I hope you have a great summer trading season. Last thought is a China Japan watch.
Right? I mean, if China Japan watch, and if I'm watching today, I'm just curious to see the U.S. dollar price action and how it goes from here. Pretty good day for the dollar so far, and maybe something to build on. And like I said, you haven't had many opportunities to buy a decent dip in the dollar. This might be as good as it gets.
All right. Well, Adam Button, journalist, news trader, and great public speaker and excellent ideas. Really a pleasure talking to you, Adam.
Likewise, Dale.
Yeah. So keeping
have a great summer.
You too. You look
Enjoy
good.
The heat.
Thanks. Oh my God. What's it like in Montreal?
It's hot here too.
Really? What is it? 90?
Well, I don't. We use a metric system over here. Dale.
Oh yeah, Celsius.
It's been 35. I don't know. 35 is maybe 89, 90. 90
yeah.
90.
Boy, that would, I would love that. I'd have to put a jacket on. Anyway, thanks for the weather report and the report on what you're seeing in the markets today, Adam.
Pleasure, everyone.
All right, my trading warrior brother, Adam Button, everyone. Follow him on Twitter at FX_Button and go to check out Adam's writings and his views on Forex Live and include it in your intelligence gathering. I do. Take it easy, buddy. See you, Adam. And you could join the team in 14 minutes on the Morning Edge. That's a wrap. Everyone, good luck today. And remember, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Adios.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.